All right, guys, welcome to I Hope This Helps. We have an exciting guest here. We have Dr. Farley with Neuroscience Institute of Medicine. Dr. Farley, thanks for coming. Please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. So the name of my practice is actually Neuro Biomedicine Health Systems.
Okay, sorry, apologize.
No problem. No problem. I know we were just chatting about trying to get the dialogue down. So I've been in practice since 1995. I originally opened my office in Morristown, New Jersey. And I originally had opened up above a general nutrition center. So at the late 80s, 90s, I think the GNC franchise was just kind of rolling out. And I came across a pharmacist who had a location. I was finishing up my master's in nutrition in 96. And I was opening my practice in 95. And he said, hey, I've got a spot upstairs. We met. He said, I don't know anything about any of the nutrients and love to have you there. And that's kind of how I got started and, used to walk around. It used to be Super Tuesdays, actually. It was I think it was the first Tuesday of every month. And everyone would come in and you'd get your 20% discount. I mean, there was hundreds of people. And everybody was leaving with bags of nutrients at that point in time. So that was my first office in Morristown. Then from there, I've moved around a little bit, and then recently, in the last about 5 years, I purchased a kind of a bigger building in Bridgewater. It's centrally located, and it's much better. I have people coming from all over the place. So whether you're coming from New York, Staten Island, Philadelphia, South Jersey, Connecticut, Poconos area, it's easy, centrally located, and it's been a great location so far.
Okay, awesome. So, I mean, nutrients, what we eat. That's what everybody's talking about. That's what we're doing. What advice do you have for everybody how to manage stress? Because stress is a killer towards all of us, correct?
Yeah. So I have a poster. Maybe I could get you a copy of it and you could flash it while we're at this point. But in the center of it, it says nervous system stress overload. And the research really is that everything goes through this nervous system stress overload. So your life comes through the nervous system, and that nervous system then gets a kind of an idle, as I describe it. So you start your car, and your nervous system should idle at 1,000 RPMs. Depending upon the different stressors, which are physical, chemical, mental, emotional, they're all cumulative. And then gradually, after a while, the nervous system becomes hardwired to all of these different stressors that keep coming in. And then now the output from the brain back to the body becomes hampered. So it can impact everything from your moods to your sleep, to blood pressure, to digestion, to energy, to pain, everything under the sun. And then as far as nutrients are concerned, the interesting thing, back to GNC for a second. So during that time frame when I first opened up in 95, in 1994, the pharmaceutical industry was cleared to place ads to the public. They were never on the news before. So I believe it's only us and one other country, I can't remember, it might be New Zealand, they're allowed to place ads. But before that, there were no ads. So I will say that when I first got my practice going, there was a big jive, and everyone was excited about vitamins and minerals. GNC was taking advantage of the climate at that point in time, and they were really gaining ground again. And then I will say, over the years, I've seen it kind of slow down. And then I would say also since COVID, there's been a resurgence. People are starting to say, wait a minute here, the vitamins and minerals are essential. Drugs are not essential. And I should probably be looking into these more. So yeah, the vitamins and minerals, you open up any anatomy, physiology, biochemistry book, you're going to see the vitamins and minerals are essential in there. And we've lost sight of that completely. Because everybody pops pills for this, and this, way over medicated.
So now, what vitamins and minerals do we need? Is it when we're trying to fight something chronically? Because aren't we supposed to be getting our nutrients from our food and everything like that already? Or should we be taking a little bit more of an enhance of, I don't know, let's say vitamin C or vitamin B or whatever the case may be?
So the old dogma that really was pushed from people that didn't know nutrition. And then once people started to take the vitamins and minerals. By the way, the first nutrition company ever formed was Anabolic Laboratories by chiropractors, 1925. And they said, let's grind up some fruits and vegetables, throw them in some capsules because people are not getting what they need. So even if you go and buy great food, and you should, organic, no pesticides, herbicides, grass-fed, proper essential fatty acids, all those things, you still don't know what's in your food. Like, what is the value left? So a while ago, I remember someone saying, hey, the amount of vitamin C in the 1950s was 100%, and now the vitamin C in the same orange or lemon might be good quality is 20%. So yes, you want the organic, non-GMO, but the real question is what's even left in it, and we don't know. So biochemistry is an interesting idea, and it's like I described, like when you're trying to build a house. So if you're trying to build a house and you run out of nails, or you only have 100 nails left, your body is saying, hey, there's only 100 nails, so what is required to keep you alive, not keep you optimal? There's a big difference. So your system goes into a very stress, survival-based mindset when you don't have enough of whatever vitamin or mineral it may be. And again, when you look up vitamins and minerals, they are required for health. Drugs are not required for health. So the goal should be to never take any. And then what can you get from your food? Of course, send the best in. But in my opinion, I've run thousands upon thousands of blood work. I don't see anybody is getting what they need from food alone. And one more thing. My professor that originally taught me nutrition, Dr. Saul, just passed away, I think like a year ago at 83 years old, wrote 16 books with the top orthomolecular physicians in the world. And orthomolecular medicine means using vitamins and minerals in high amounts to drive pathways. And anyway, he used to always say when I first started to learn nutrition, and I was like, oh my God, I never knew any of this. And there would be somebody in the back and go, Dr. Saul, I heard that if you take too much whatever, you're going to get whatever. And he would jokingly say, show me the dead bodies. And I never knew what he meant until literally 5 years ago. I decided to buy all of his books. So I bought them all, and I was flipping through them. And in a section in there was talking about the toxicity of vitamins and minerals. And every year, he's been doing this for 35, 40 years, he goes to the whatever databases there are for deaths. And every year, at the end of the year, how many deaths have there been from vitamins, minerals, enzymes, and herbs? And it's always 0. None. Nobody dies. So the idea that you have to worry about them is really ridiculous. But the idea that you might not have enough should be very concerning, because if you need, 300 magnesium a day, and you're only taking in 100 from your food, something's going to shut down within the system, and the biochemical pathways begin to shut down, and it creates massive stress. And then your body's juggling balls, and the cells are juggling balls, extremely stressed out, and they're going, okay, it's life or death for Eric. So if I don't have enough, we got to shut down those pathways. I got to keep you alive. So keeping you alive may mean your heart, may mean your kidneys, but who cares about your skin and your muscles and your sexual performance and your sleep and your moods? Who cares? It's life or death. So anyway, yes, in my opinion, you should be taking them, and they also need to be in the right form. I just had a patient come in today. I called him. He's he comes in. Some people are coming in with a bag of nutrients that they're taking. And the other thing I would say on the nutrients are this: the sickest people that I see, and I've seen thousands and thousands of people, take by far the most meds and see the most medical doctors. No doubt in my mind. They are the sickest people. The healthiest people usually are not seeing the medical docs. They're usually not taking meds, and they're probably avid exercisers, maybe some paying attention to their food, and they're usually taking a bunch of nutrients. So even though they may not be correct, it's always better to take some than none.
Okay. Now talk about your patients, right? Most of your patients come to you when they're ill, or do you do a lot of preemptive stuff as well? Like, let's say I feel a little bit healthy, but everybody could do an improvement.
Yeah.
Should I come see you, do your blood work, do whatever, and maybe you can put me in the right pathway? Or usually, what is your best suggestion?
I'm a diligent person who takes care of myself on a regular basis.
That I know.
I got involved with even thinking about health because my dad was like a Jack LaLanne guy in the 70s. My dad was very fit in the 1970s. Everybody else was walking around beer bellies. And I remember seeing pictures. And even my buddies now that some of them I grew up with will say to me, yeah, I remember your dad. I mean, he had weights in the garage. He made all this makeshift gym equipment. It's kind of funny, from like train wheels. He had a punching bag. He would run when I was earlier on. And he was always a fit guy. And then I remember watching Jack LaLanne with him in the 70s. And then he would literally say, hey, get on my back. He could bang out 200 push-ups with me on his back. And we would watch the show. So I grew up with my dad being like that. And so over a time frame, my dad was kind of wellness-oriented from that point of view. His food, he just would always pay attention to his weight. And if his weight was okay, he kind of ate whatever he wanted. So that's really what it was. But as far as what I see in society, it's probably, there's a 10% max, maybe 15% of people that are really wellness oriented. You get some other people that might not go to McDonald's. Some people exercise. But the wellness market, the way that I see it, is not very big. So most of my patients are chronic cases, some wellness, and people that have been with me for a bit, but most of them are chronic cases. They've been to 8, 10, 12, 15 different doctors. They want a new approach, and they want a different way of looking at trying to get help.
Okay. Give us one of your most interesting cases that you help someone with.
Yeah, I handle a lot of, my office is Neuro Biomedicine. I came up with that term probably 2012 to kind of describe what it is that I do. A lot of neurology issues, could be balance, walking, Parkinson's, could be an MS patient. Just had a little boy coming in who was diagnosed with probably Asperger's, autism. Little kids are difficult because, especially if they have some issues like that, it's kind of hard to assess and know what to do. We really, everything as I look at it goes through the nervous system stress overload. So you start with that measurement. Your diagnosis means nothing to me.
Okay.
Nothing. I try to let it in one ear and out the other because I'm not even sure some of the stuff that I learned is even true.
Okay.
Because the books that are being written are coming from the people that want you to believe about germs, aging, and genes. And germs, aging, and genes are not driving 95% of diseases. They're not.
Of course.
But that's the method. That's the story that's out there, because if it's germs, aging, and genes, there's nothing you can do. You're broken. You got to take my pill. You got to walk around freaked out about the germs. They're going to come get you. And that's what everybody's doing. So I just recently came up with that idea of germs, aging, and genes. It's nonsense. So even a diagnosis, just be clear on this also, a diagnosis is nothing more than a deviation from normal physiology. That's all it is. Mm-hmm. And then you get a name, or you get symptoms. And then once you get symptoms, after about 85% damage of this nervous system stress overload, you'll get symptoms. And then let's just say your symptoms are this time of year, and you go, you know what, my eyes are red, I'm sneezing a little bit, I'm coughing, I feel a little bit tired, fatigued. Then you go into the doc and you go, Doc, this is what I've got. And he says, you know what, Eric? I bet you're having seasonal allergies. Oh my God, what is that? Well, as the outside changes, you're having a response to that. So I'm going to give you a Zyrtec, and I'm going to give you some Afrin to blow up your nose, and I'm going to give you this. The real question we should ask is, what does it mean? It means my immune system is not adapting to the change in the seasons. And if the change in seasons was the cause of allergies, we'd all have them. So it's not the outside, it's the inside. Something on the inside is not working. And then you go back to the nervous system stress overload. So when you start working from that point of view, many things make sense. And I can connect, your neck, to your low energy, to your cycles are off, to your weird skin, to your tremor in your hand, to your moods, to your thinking. It makes sense because you're looking at the whole system and not working on 4 different diagnoses. I mean, I have patients come in, I'm not kidding. They'll come in and they'll have 5 different diagnoses, 5 different medical docs, throwing 8 medications in the middle. And remember this, there are no drugs required for health. So what does that mean? We're taking an already stressed out system, and now we got 8 toxins, adding more stress to an already stressed out system. So if from here we're in Newark and you wanted to go to the New Jersey shore, you got to drive southeast.
Of course.
The medical docs are telling everyone to drive northwest. You can't get there. The drugs never bring you there. I haven't seen anybody yet fix themselves with them. Maybe it takes away the pain in your knee. Maybe your mood gets a smidge better. Maybe your digestion gets a smidge better. Maybe your blood pressure drops, but you didn't get healthier.
No, because you're relying on that medicine. That's where Big Pharma and their lobbyists are killing it out there and killing us practically.
Yeah.
So now I'm a patient. I come see you, and obviously I've never seen you medically, at least. What is the steps? Like, you're not listening to what I'm saying. You're just hearing basically, hey, whatever. I have these shakes and everything like that, right? Now, what's your first steps? Are you doing a comprehensive blood work, and you're going off of that, or are you going by, your experience, or what do you do?
There's a lot of paperwork you fill out. I also have hundreds of instructional videos that I've made over the last 15 years, and I have steps that the patient moves through. I'm also going to require the patient to be involved in care. So if you're not willing to do what I might tell you to do, I don't want to get involved, because your outcome is going to be based on 70% of what you do. I'm the only 30%. So it isn't like going into the doctor normally and you dump your problem and he says, here's what it is, and he gives you the pill and you walk out the door. You're going to have to make changes in what you're doing. Wherever you find yourself, or wherever a patient finds himself, and whatever diagnosis they've gotten, they need to realize that they did it. They have to take responsibility for where you are. It's not germs, aging, and genes. Throw it out the window. And we know that because the Human Genome Project and plenty of people over a time frame. You could be 80 years old and your health is through the roof, and you can be 40 years old and you're not so good. And even the germ theory is being questioned, that the germs don't make you sick. If they did, everybody that goes into the, what's it called in the city? The subway would die, because there's germs all over the place. And the dirtiest place around is the hospital.
Of course.
So everybody that goes to the hospital should drop dead if the germs are making you sick, and they don't. So it's always about the ability of the system to work, and at what level are you adapting or not. So I start with, number one, understanding that. Number two, going to what I call the nervous system stress overload. Go to this, constantly have my mind on that, and not your symptoms and your diagnosis, that. And then from there, what do I know? And you start with certain measurements where you can measure the nervous system in various different pieces of technology. And then I've also just recently gotten clear that any blood work that I might suggest to you after I do the testing, or specialty blood work, or saliva testing, whatever it may be, is nothing more than a manifestation of nervous system stress overload. That's what it is. And when we look at the science of that idea, and then back to that idea of allostatic stress load, that they're cumulative over time, and then my nervous system gets wired for this, and then it gets more and more, in a sense, dysfunctional, and your health breaks down over time. I mean, there's massive research to that compared to germs, aging, and genes, germs, aging, and genes, germs, aging, and genes. I mean, it's crazy.
Okay, so I'm sure there's a lot, right? Everything you mentioned, like I'm getting, I can only imagine what you see, right? So let's say someone fairly healthy, but starting to age, like in their 40s, just like me, all right? What are like the big no-nos besides, smoking and alcohol abuse and all that stuff? What are certain things people should stay away from? And what are maybe some essential minerals and vitamins that we should all be taking in to live a healthier lifestyle?
Yeah, so this will be a little controversial. My personal opinion is stay away from the medical docs.
Okay.
Every time you go in, they're telling you to do a test for this and a test for this and a test for this and a test for this. And realistically, back in, I think it's 2012 or 13, Dr. Gary Null published a book. It was called Death by Medicine, and he kind of basically said that number one cause of death in the U.S. is heart disease, about 650,000. Just behind it, 640,000, cancer. But oh, by the way, put the medical docs in everything they're doing, it's about 1 million people a year-ish, and we know this. So it is the most dangerous, and it has the most deaths through that system. So when you go there and you think that you're getting some kind of preventative care, it's not. It's possibly maybe early diagnosis. For instance, one CT scan, and I know this because I was just reviewing it with a patient. Obama did some kind of research on what's causing cancer. and he commissioned a bunch of people around the world and said, check it all out. What are the environmental causes? Because again, it's not genetic. So what are the environmental causes? Well, they narrowed it all down, and they basically said that it comes down to radiation. And one CT scan is equivalent to about 400 x-rays. And I don't remember these numbers exactly. They could be a little bit off, but it's called MAS is how they measure the amount of radiation. So one CT scan, I believe, was 45 MAS amount of radiation. And then in the book there, they're showing that the Hiroshima bomb drop in the center, if you went about 3,000 yards from the center of the Hiroshima bomb drop, you got 50 MAS of radiation.
Wow.
Whoa. So that means one CT scan is similar in the amount of radiation compared to being 2,000 to 3,000 yards away from the center of the Hiroshima bomb drop. Now, we're going in all day, every day. CT my shoulder, echocardiogram, let me get another CT in my knee. And by the way, if you have cancer, I mean, oh my gosh, I've seen this and I saw it within my own family. Oh, we're going to run her for a CT scan. And guess what the information always is? It's inconclusive. Okay, so what did we learn? Nothing. And she just took a hit of, 45 MAS of radiation. And we know for sure that that report basically says that the medical radiation is equivalent to about 45% of the total radiation that we're getting on a regular basis, and that includes all those CT scans. So I'm not a big fan of those, and I tell people all the time, be cautious of those.
Yeah, I always wondered about that because I've heard that in the past, but then, like you said, my mom has cancer, and she goes for her radiation and her chemo and all that stuff, right? And then after a certain period, they want to do a CT scan. I'm like, wait, what is are we trying to get rid of the cancer? Are we trying to bring it back? I don't understand that. And then like doctors always say, oh, it's not really not that, that's not true, or whatever the case may be. So there's so much misconceptions out there that it's nuts. Right?
Yeah. Let me just chime in on a little bit of this cancer thing too, because I put a lot of time into understanding that. So the story is that we have bad genes, and then we've vilified genes. We call some of them oncogenes, like they're the bad ones. And then we have tumor suppressant genes, and they're the good ones. It's ridiculous. That's total propaganda. Genes just do something. That's all. And this gene causes the cell to replicate, and this gene causes the cell to not replicate. But they call this the oncogene, and they call this the tumor suppressant gene. The real question we should be asking is, if it's not the genes, then what's doing it? And it's definitely epigenetic is where the answers lie. And there's a guy named, can't think of his name right now, Seyfried might be his name. He was originally out of Boston College, and he's done all this research to show it's not genetics. And even the Human Genome Project said it's not genetics. So within the cell, we have so within our bodies, we have organs, and within the cell, you have organelles. So they're like little organs in the cell. And all of those organelles do something to keep the cell alive and working. But it looks like probably the two most important components to the cell are the cell wall, which is really like the brain. And then inside the cell, you have the mitochondria, which when I was taught, all the mitochondria did was produce energy. But it's not. The mitochondria runs everything. So the mitochondria is juggling all the balls of your crazy stress that you're doing right and wrong. And most people are doing things wrong. So you got this stress reaction, and the mitochondria is juggling all this. And over a time frame, as the mitochondria breaks down, and by the way, diet is definitely involved because the mitochondria are fat. So when we take statin-lowering drugs, cholesterol-lowering drugs, you're going to mess with the mitochondria, you're going to mess with your cell wall. 85%, 75% of your brain is cholesterol. Cholesterol is a vital nutrient, but everybody, 95% of seniors come in. I mean, their cholesterol is way low. And by the way, if lowering the cholesterol was the cause of heart disease, shouldn't we see the numbers go down? We don't. Everybody's still dropping dead of heart attack. Everybody's on cholesterol and everybody's on blood pressure. But back to the mitochondria for a second. So the mitochondria is made up mainly of fats. It does require vitamins and minerals. And the fats, many times what's happening is we're getting way too many of these omega-6, and they're coming from seed oils. But it used to be that we'd get a lot of fat from saturated. But they've convinced everyone that you shouldn't have red meat, you shouldn't have dairy, you got to stay away from the butter because apparently that's clogging our arteries. And again, if that was the story and that's what it was, should we not see a decrease in the number of heart disease patients? Should we not see it start to become eradicated? I mean, it's ridiculous. Everybody's on this stuff and everyone's still dropping dead. So in my mind, I always say results matter. We should go back and go, hang on, shouldn't we be seeing some difference here? So anyway, the mitochondria basically begins to break down pesticides, herbicides, diets, wrong essential fatty acids, begin to break down the mitochondria. The mitochondria does everything like we just talked about, but the main thing is it's creating energy. And as the mitochondria breaks down, your body has to revert to the old way of producing energy called glycolysis. And glycolysis drives the cell to turn into a cancer cell. And also, as the mitochondria breaks down, back to the intelligence of the cell, the mitochondria says, I don't want us to die. So I'm going to go back to those genes because I don't want us to die. And I'm going to turn on these cell-producing genes called oncogenes. And I'm going to turn off the tumor-suppressing genes because I want us to live. That's what it does. So the genetic shifts are epigenetics, not genetics. The genes are stupid. They just receive the signals. And then from Dr. Seyfried, again, interesting thing. You can take a tumor out of someone, breast, wherever, and you can get 100 cells, and you can dissect those cells, and none of those cells have the same genetics. It's not the genes. The genes are workers. They turn on and turn off based on the environment, and the environment is what you think, how you move, chemistry, foods, all that stuff. And another one too. If you keep taking toxins in, I don't care whether you smoke, you go to McDonald's, or you're taking 5 prescription drugs, and hang on, even then the big one is these vaccines. I mean, oh my God, we might as well talk about that for a second. I mean, you shoot me in the arm with something, that's probably the most toxic of toxic. You bypassed all my system's ability to have any chance with that poison. You sent it in my blood. It's, there's the sanctity of the blood. Stuff should not get into the blood. Your body has barriers. Your body has ways of not letting things in. You shoot me in the arm, and then we've got all these crazy things. And right now, might as well talk about it. We've got RFK coming out. I just saw there's a new person being picked for the Surgeon General. Stanford graduate, basically got out of traditional medicine and does functional medicine. She saw that she didn't want to do that. So, and RFK got involved with all this stuff because of mothers with damaged kids, thousands, hundreds of thousands of them reaching out and saying, hey, what's going on here? And we all stand around and go, we don't know what it is. I mean, come on. It's obvious over a time frame, and it'll come out, and there's definitely research. So all of that creates damage, and it can damage the mitochondria, and it can create massive stress and toxins and everything else over a time frame.
So basically, our bodies and our biology teaches us that it heals itself, right?
Yeah.
And germs and everything like that is good for us, and that's how it teaches our body learns how to fight the flu, how it learns how to heal itself from whatever, right?
Yeah.
Then, diet, very important, correct? How do you feel about fasting?
Excellent.
Excellent.
Fasting's been around for a long time frame. I can't think of the guy's name, Dr. Tillis, from like the 1920s and 30s. One of the guys was a naturopath, another guy was a chiropractor. When you fast, let's just say approximately 40% of your energy for the day goes to digestion. So if I stop and I fast, I have 40% more energy to get myself back into balance. One more thing. Your body's never making a mistake. So if it gives you a stuffy nose, it's for a reason. If it makes you throw up, it's for a reason. If you have diarrhea, it's for a reason. If it gives you a temperature, it's for a reason. There's never a mistake. There's an intelligence inside the system. And we got to get used to this. We've just lost sight that there's an intelligence inside the system. So the egg and sperm can come together. 9 months later, out pops this unbelievable thing called a baby. And then we need to get 65 shots and 87 things of this to make it healthy. It's ridiculous. But anyway, so there's an intelligence. And if you start from that point of view, that I'm not trying to be God and manipulate your symptoms, because I really don't know exactly what the body's doing when it's doing it. I always tell myself this: if I don't feel well, I look at how I'm taking care of myself. Did I go out with you and Somebody else and have too many cocktails, maybe. My diet's usually pretty good. Did I not exercise for a couple days? Whatever. Was I up late? I missed something. Did I have some stressful event? I'll look at those things and try to say, okay, what am I doing that may have thrown me out of balance? And then the next question is this. The idea that you're always caught a bug is ridiculous. Sometimes it's nothing more than the body has to, I tell my patients this, why would you tell yourself you're sick? You're just recalibrating. It's always what it's doing. The intelligence is always just recalibrating. So if I'm tired and fatigued for 3 days and I have a fever, I'm just recalibrating. If I'm vomiting, I'm just recalibrating. I'm just recalibrating. I'm never sick. Because as soon as I put that in my mind, now you're going to drive the mind to drive the body, and all of a sudden you get sick. So, psychoneuroimmunology is another concept out there too that says our minds are powerful and we can make massive changes inside of our bodies. So just picture a little kid, and you go over and you say, Mom goes, oh my God, you caught a germ at so-and-so's house. I can't believe it. You're not washing your hands. God, oh my God, you got a fever. We got to break the fever. We got to go to the pediatrician. Oh my God, the fear you put inside that little kid. Or you go, you know what? Your body's smart. We all don't know exactly what it's doing. I know you don't feel good, but we're going to give it some time. We're going to give you maybe no food for a little bit so you could fast. Have you drink some fluids so you don't get dehydrated. And then if we can get you up and walking, good, because it'll rebalance the body. Let's get you up and walking. Let's get the sun on you and go around. And then maybe what I do too is I might put you in a hot bath, which helps the body balance, boosts the immune system. I might put some salt in the bath. I might put some essential oils in the bath. And your body's recalibrating. Don't worry, you're going to get back into balance. And now the kid is using his own mind and says, my mom says I'm okay, and I'm going to get back to balance. And I'm just recalibrating. My body's just getting back in balance. That's really what it is always doing.
Yeah, no, I believe in self-talk and even how you talk to your children about anything, right? Mm-hmm. Oh, you can't do that. Well, the kid's never even going to try because you're telling them they're not capable of doing it.
Yeah.
That's like the worst. I tell my kids all the time, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Well, just work hard and just get it done, right?
Yeah.
My son's like, I can't do that. No. You could do this. You might not be able to do it right now, but if you work at it, you'll be able to get it done, right?
Yeah, it's self-fulfilling prophecy. One more thing about that. So there's a term out there called placebo and nocebo, and this is important. So the pharmaceutical medical docs want to tell you that placebo is poo-poo. Like, oh, it's just placebo. The funny thing is when you look at a lot of these medications, placebo is stronger than the medications. So what is placebo? The placebo means that if I use my mind or believe in my mind that something's going to help me, it likely is going to help me. So here's the question. If the placebo has value, why wouldn't it always be used? And the answer is because they want you to think that somehow the pharmaceuticals have more impact on you than your own mind in healing your body. It's nuts.
It really is.
So nocebo is the total opposite. It means the doctor comes in. I just had a patient. Doctor comes in and says, he's an old guy. She's old too. But anyway, your husband's not doing so well. We're going to probably move him to this facility. And she knows that means to die. So she said, what do you think? And I said, well, what do you think? She said, I don't want him to go there because I know what that means. He's going to die. And if he hears he's going there, he's going to die. I said, okay. So she spoke to another lady in my office, says, hey, I'm involved with hospitals. And if you, rebuke that, or you say, hey, I want to contest that, you're going to get yourself about 3 or 4 days. And then in 3 or 4 days, if you think he's going to bounce back because you've seen him happen like this, you have 3 to 4 days to figure it out. So, there's the nocebo again and placebo. So the nocebo, you tell me that I'm not good. You tell me I'm going to be dead in 6 months. And if I believe it and you're sending me to some place over there, I'll be dead in 6 months. I'll be dead in 1 day right before 6 months because the mind is powerful. So we need to teach the patients also to use their mind. And we need to also tell them that just because someone tells you that there's no cure, there's no whatever, that's just their opinion. And I'm not saying that we're shoveling fake cures out there, but I don't know what the body can do, and neither do you. We're going to remove the stressors, give it what it needs, and give it time to heal.
Okay. Your mind definitely plays a lot, and stress messes up your whole body and everything like that, right? Fasting's good. You know, I believe after 4 days, it actually starts killing all the bad cells that usually turn into cancers and everything like that. So I've been reading up on that. Definitely want to get into a healthier place myself. Now, what advice would you have? Because stress is such a big thing, right? For people that are in stressful jobs, or like for example, like my job at the end of the month, it's very stressful, and I can see right away like the difference. Like all of a sudden, I could be working out, eating perfect, and my weight won't drop, or I'll actually gain a pound or two because from the stress levels. Correct?
Yeah.
What advice would you give to someone like me or someone out there with a stressful job?
When stress goes up, you have to do more, not less. That's what everybody does. They do the opposite. You got a crazy thing going on where someone's sick, you got to take better care of yourself. You got more stuff going on at work, you got to take better care of yourself. You can't start abandoning ship and doing things that you know work because you don't have the time. You got to make the time. You got to say, hey, so if I'm in a stressful time frame and I can't get to do any kind of exercise after work, well, then I might go to bed an hour earlier and get up an hour early and bang it out and then go to work. Your food should get tighter, not, and again, we're just talking about we're going to go out and get dinner. You go out and you eat a heavy meal and then you throw booze in there because you're feeling stressed. It's the worst possible thing you could do. Worst possible thing you could do. You'll feel totally whacked out when the stress is high because alcohol creates massive stress. And one more thing about alcohol, and yes, I drink some alcohol. The buzz of alcohol is that you are exceeding capacity to clear the poison called alcohol. That is our buzz. So I'm poisoning myself at a rate faster than my body can clear it, and that's the party. So how often do you want to do that? Not that often. If you take big breaks, like you said, hey, I went out Friday, Saturday, okay. You took the rest of the week off, you'll probably be fine. It's when there's consistent irritation on a blister and you keep putting sand, like a sander on it over and over again. That's bad food, bad thoughts, and alcohol comes into that for sure. You got to let the system rebalance.
Okay. So a 10-day bender is not a good idea. Huh?
No. And one more thing too. Back to vitamins and minerals again. So just picture a 55-gallon drum at like a baseball park where all the kids play. And just imagine that drum should be filled to the top with vitamins and minerals. And then as you do whatever you're doing throughout the day, your body pulls out what it needs, runs you, keeps you alive, keeps your brain working good, your moods are good, everything's good. And then your food is supposed to replenish your drum. But we're getting garbage food and there's nothing left in the food. And then we have lifestyles like terrible foods. And then we're taking drugs and medications, what I mean by that. And then we're also drinking alcohol. So now my drum becomes depleted. And oh, by the way, if you buy into the idea that you don't need vitamins and minerals and you shouldn't be supplementing, you'll really get depleted. And your drum's going down, 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 down. One night of drinking alcohol, I mean, you just depleted your drum pretty significantly one night. You better be taking nutrients to kind of catch up and bring it back up. But it might take you, if we went to God, God may say, it takes you 5 days to make up for that one day that you went out and had some drinks. So then you want to picture that you need to get the nutrients back in and bring it back up again. And then again, if you're going to do it again, because you might, I'm going to go out again and you're going to lower the drum again and you better stay on top of those. And you'll see, sometimes we go out, I'm carrying nutrients in my pocket. Why am I doing that? Because I know what I'm doing. I'm making the decision to have drinks.
Okay.
I know it's not good for me on a long-term basis. I don't do it that often.
Of course.
And then I'm going to throw nutrients in while I'm doing it. Now, why am I doing that? Because I know my body needs to recalibrate and get back into balance. And it's going to require the nutrients.
All right. So just now that you mentioned it, now I'm going to ask, right? All right. So alcohol, we all know is bad. But, sometimes we need to let loose or have some fun, okay? What alcohol would you suggest someone, if they're going to drink? And two, since you like these nutrients, do they help us without, not have a hangover?
Yeah.
Do you have a hangover cure? Give us some info, man.
Yeah. So if someone says, hey, I drink a glass of wine and I fall to the ground and I feel like hell, it means that they're having issues with the stress response and detoxification. So, and it's really called phase 1, phase 2 detoxification. And there's definitely something going on in that loop because you can't process the poison that we call alcohol. If you say, hey, every time I go out, if I have 3 glasses of wine, I'm fine. But if I have 4, I'm a wreck. There's probably still something going on there. And then there's the point where you went out and you go, hey, it was a bachelor party and and I overdid it. And no matter how many nutrients you take, you're going to need some time because you just totally poisoned the system. So, and then your question is this: if you take nutrients, will it help you metabolize and break alcohol down and be better for you? Guaranteed. You'll wake up in the morning and you'll feel better if you throw some nutrients in.
Okay, so what nutrients? Give me. Stop saying the word nutrients. Tell me what I got to take.
Well, there's not, so I do things, like I have a multivitamin and mineral. I call it's the male is called max voltage male. The female is called electric female. And I have these. So in my mind, I just
Wait,
take
do you sell
those.
these?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're definitely going to get your website. We're going to get it, and we're definitely going to try that. Is there certain alcohols better than others?
Yeah. So there's a whole bunch of stuff on gluten. Let me just talk about this because it kind of ties in with food and alcohol. So gluten is a protein found in wheat, rye, barley, and oats. And it's in everything unless it says gluten-free. The problem with it is that we don't have the enzyme to break the gluten protein down. I've also read that it's not gluten per se, but it's the pesticides and herbicides on the crops, and there's probably some truth to that too. But we don't have the protein to break the gluten protein. Sorry, we don't have the enzyme to break the gluten protein down. So when I was a kid, my mother, I had one pair of sneakers, and my mother would wash them constantly. And I could hear them bouncing around in the washer and then bouncing around in the dryer. That's how I view gluten. It comes inside your gut and it just bounces around. And then it creates leaks, it creates inflammation, and then it becomes systemic and it breaks the brain and body down by that. So the only alcohols that truly are gluten-free are tequila, vodka from a non-gluten source like corn or grapes or potatoes, and rum. I used to believe, but I don't anymore, because about 15, 18 years ago, I read a paper from a chemist, and he was talking about, well, everybody, and if you go online, you're going to see this. Well, the distillation process breaks down gluten, so you're good to drink anything that's distilled. And the answer is it's not true. So his paper basically said, to break down the gluten protein, you need about 1,000 degrees, and the distillation process is about 400 degrees. So you're not breaking it down. And for a while back then, I've been gluten-free for probably 20 years. And then I've learned this about 15 years ago. But for those 5 years, I was drinking scotch. Kept getting all kinds of issues with myself, from my skin to a cold sore to my just looking beat up. But I'm thinking I'm gluten-free, but I'm really not gluten-free. So the best ones are tequila, vodka from a non-gluten source, and rum are really the only gluten-free.
Okay. You also mentioned something about inflammation, right?
Yeah.
That's the new big word, right? Yeah. Everybody's talking about cold plunges and
Yeah.
doing this and all that. But isn't inflammation in many ways your body trying to fight something as well?
Yeah. So, there's misinformation out there. We are not trying to anti-inflammatory ourselves for everything. The immune system, to do its work, by the way, which is a secondary system to the nervous system, and most of the immune problems, sustained inflammation, chronic inflammation, is a secondary effect to the nervous system stress overload again, because that's the master system down to the subsystem called the immune system. For you to heal anything, you need inflammation. It's ridiculous. Ridiculous. So if I hurt my leg, the typical protocol is rest, ice, compression, elevation, and everybody's popping Advil. I'm not. Unless I'm in debilitating pain, and I did just hurt my leg. And the first night that it happened, I couldn't sleep, so I did take one Aleve, and I do that once every 15 years. I took one Aleve, it did the trick. By the next night, I was okay to sleep, and I didn't take anymore. But I'm not trying to turn off the inflammation. I'm trying to balance it so that the body can heal itself and recalibrate as quickly as possible. And I know that if I take something that's a drug, it's going to interfere with the healing process. My body's not making a mistake when I got whacked over here to do what it did. It's not a mistake. It's a total intelligent response to the injury, and whatever it's doing, swelling, pain, it's all part of recalibrating to get it healed as soon as possible. When I jump in there and play God again and say, hey, I'm going to do this, and this, you're going against what the body's trying to do.
Okay. Perfect.
One more thing about the cold plunge. I see this stuff out there. I always ask myself this: where in life would I be jumping into ice water? And the answer is I wouldn't, and I'd get out in 1 second. I'm not saying that jumping into ice water, which is absolutely a massive stress, massive, may not do something to my immune system that is anti-inflammatory, but oh my God. Now, if you tell me you're going into a sauna, fine. You're going into a hot bath, fine. Because these things I will come across in my life, and you do go into a hot bath, and you do sit in the sun, and heat is more normal per se than jumping into ice.
Okay. Well, that's a good way of thinking of it. It makes total sense. Now everybody's talking about gut health. What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, so nervous system runs the gut. You have high nervous system problems, stress overload, you're going to have gut problems. And you can't fix the gut by going to the gut. You got to go to the nervous system first. And yes, there's things that you can do directly with the gut. But the gut, there's the brain gut, and then there's the gut brain, and they talk back and forth to each other. So issues with the gut will drive your nervous system stress overload for sure. But the nervous system is the master system that regulates the gut. So whether we're talking about an ulcer or intestinal barrier permeability, also called leaky gut, which are microscopic holes, either way, the gut is a key player in your health for certain. And your gut has a single cell lining that literally the cells that are, and part of the cells that are touching your food are turning over every 5 to 6 hours. And you have approximately a new gut every 5 to 6 days.
Okay.
So it's very rapid turnover cells. And this is how also do something wrong for 2 nights partying, drive your stress through the roof, and wonder why you have stomach problems for the next 2 weeks. It's not, you didn't, oh, by the way, here's another one too. Oh, it's a stomach virus. What a bunch of nonsense. I mean, show me the virus. It's a bunch of fun, but it's a stomach bug. Again, it's always some germ. How about I was out partying, doc, did this, I'm taking these different meds, I lost my job, and this is what's going on with me. But the virus and the bug is an easy thing to throw out that no one really questions, and they just leave.
All right, but hold on for 1 second. I've been with you the whole time, but there's no such thing as a 24-hour bug. Like if I'm not drinking, I'm not partying, my kids in like preschool, we just got out of summer, they just started school, all these new germs, they're all bringing it in the home, and all of a sudden I'm puking for 24 hours and I did nothing wrong. That doesn't exist?
What I would say is probably there's a weakness. You probably have a barrier issue. So if I have a barrier issue, my gut is going to be susceptible to something that comes in that maybe it shouldn't be. So you look at a family and you go, hey, these 3 threw up and these 3 didn't throw up. If it's the bug, why didn't all 6 of them throw up?
Oh, I've been at a house that it started with 1 and then all 4 of us got it.
Well, I would say this also. Within a house, people think the same, eat the same, and have the same likely habits that might not be working for that family. So you can go to this too. You can take a family that has a family history, and a family history does not mean genetics. But you can take a family with a family history of breast cancer in the grandmother, breast cancer in the mother, breast cancer in the daughter, and it's not genetic. So you can say, hey, if we throw a germ out there, might one family, this family all seems to get breast cancer, this family all has colon cancer, this family all has depression, this family all has autoimmune, it's still not genetic. So when the bug comes in, if the family all is doing the wrong stuff, it might pass through this family. And yet that family, only one person gets it, or no one gets it.
Okay.
So
that's fair.
Now hang on. If we were to go out somewhere and we get bad food, which means high bacteria, and we're all eating, and there's 4 of us, if it's got really high bacteria, the healthiest person will throw up at the table.
Okay.
Because it comes in and their body goes, no good, out. And the weakest person may not get anything. Or 4 days later, they get diarrhea. So that's it. So it depends upon the level of the toxin coming in as to whether we can have any chance or not. I mean, if we drink a shot of total poison, we're all dead. But if we sip the poison or the bug comes in, depending upon the load of it, the healthier person can clear it over a time frame.
It makes total sense. All right, I'm going to be very respectful of your time. Is there anything you're working on or anything exciting going on right now that you would like to share with us?
Yeah, I'm considering maybe doing my own podcast. You and I chatted about that. I've just recently had some other people that are pretty big in the podcast industry making connections that I might go on to those type of podcasts. I don't know. I try to, I make a lot of videos. I try to transcribe them. I've got probably, 400 brochures. I put together about 6 different books to, just they're quick reads, they're easy, and I've kind of gone after topics that I have a lot of familiarity with, and no, it's good. I'm just practice is good, everything is good. I got a great staff at this point in time.
And you also have a beautiful family as well.
Thanks.
We
Yeah.
had the pleasure to meet them as well.
Yeah.
And Dr. Farley, thank you for everything. And guys, I hope this helps.